Yeah, welcome to my channel. We are continuing with our topic value added tax, and in this video we shall be looking at what a VAT payer is entitled to after registration. Yeah, upon application for registration, the applicant will be entitled to, or he or she is supposed to receive first a certificate of registration to show that you registered. Then notification of refusal to be registered in case you don't qualify to be registered for VAT, you'll have to get a notification. Then the input tax credit on both capital goods and trading stock at hand on the effective date of registration, provided they were purchased not more than 6 months. Then you're entitled to notification of accepting registration in case you qualify for VAT registration. They're supposed to give you a notification for accepting registration. And lastly, you're entitled to a VAT number after registration. So upon registration, the applicant is entitled to these five: the certificate of registration, notification of refusal to be registered, input tax credit, notification of accepting registration, and then the VAT number. Yeah. Then here there is determination of when to apply for registration. Under compulsory registration, we said compulsory registration, you apply when you make money that exceeds 37.5 M within 3 consecutive months. Yeah. Then let's look at deregistration. Deregistration is the opposite of registration. The cancellation of a registered person from the VAT registrar. That is what we call deregistration. And it can only happen in two ways: upon application in writing by the taxpayer with valid reasons. They can be cancelled from the registrar. Then on the initiative by the Commissioner General, even if the taxpayer does not apply. If the Commissioner General initiates registration of persons who do not apply to be deregistered, when the Commissioner is satisfied that they were not required to apply for registration. Maybe you are making money that is less than the threshold or something else. Yeah, maybe you're not dealing in taxable supplies. So cancellation of registered person from VAT can happen in two ways: upon application in writing by the taxpayer or on the initiative by the Commissioner General. Yeah. Cancellation of registration. Cancellation is immediate if one ceases to deal in taxable supplies. If you stop dealing in taxable supplies, you're automatically cancelled from the VAT registrar. In any other case, say fall in turnover or just challenges. If there is a fall in turnover when you no longer meet the threshold, the minimum amount, you can be cancelled. You can be cancelled from the registrar. Yeah. And it can only be considered after 2 years from the date of effective registration. For the fall in turnover, if there is a fall in turnover for 2 consecutive years from the effective date of registration, that is when you're cancelled from the registrar. But if you cease to deal in taxable supply, there is immediate cancellation. Yeah. Then the Commissioner General may initiate the registration under the following circumstances: when a taxpayer has no fixed place of business premises, they can cancel you from the registrar. Then where the taxpayer has no proper accounting or business records for the business carried on, they can cancel you from the registrar. Whereby the taxpayer does not submit regular and reliable tax returns, they can be cancelled from the registrar by the Commissioner. Then lastly, when the taxpayer is not fit and proper in the opinion of the Commissioner General. When you look like you're not okay, you're mad or something, you don't understand well. So These are the four conditions under which the Commissioner General may initiate deregistration. When a taxpayer has no fixed place for the business, when the taxpayer has no proper accounting or business records for the business carried on, when the taxpayer does not submit regular and reliable tax returns, when the taxpayer is not fit and proper in the opinion of the Commissioner General. Yeah. Then cancellation of compulsorily registered taxpayers. This can occur under two ways. There are two ways under which there is cancellation of compulsory registered taxpayers. First is when one ceases to make taxable supplies. When you stop dealing in taxable supplies, of course you'll be cancelled from the VAT registrar, since VAT is only levied on taxable supplies. Yeah, and this may occur because of change of business. You change from one business to another, or recategorization of supplies by URA. Yeah, from taxable to exempt. For example, road construction works changed from being taxable to exempt effective 1st July 2004. Yeah, so when one ceases to make taxable supplies, they are cancelled from the registrar. And secondly, decline in turnover. When there is a decline in turnover, this is a two-way test. What is considered the turnover in the last 3 months and the last 12 months? So when considering decline in turnover, they look at 3 months and 12 months. Yeah, a person therefore qualifies for deregistration if the taxable turnover excluding VAT in the last 3 months no longer exceeds 25% of the threshold, and the taxable turnover excluding VAT in the last 12 months no longer exceeds 70% of the threshold. That is when they qualify for deregistration. For deregistration, one qualifies for deregistration in two ways: decline in turnover, and then when one ceases to deal in taxable supplies. Yeah, let's look at the effective date of deregistration. Cancellation of registration takes place at the end of the period in which the registration was cancelled. For example, if cancellation is made on 20th June, cancellation would be effective on 30th June. So it is effective at the end of the month in which the cancellation was made. That is the effective date of deregistration. Then outstanding obligations at the date of deregistration. Before being deregistered, the things you're supposed to fulfill. First is that if you have unlodged tax returns, the person intending to deregister will be required to declare the tax returns that they did not declare. Maybe if you have unlodged tax returns, you're supposed to first lodge them. Then unpaid taxes of VAT areas when they're demanding you may be taxed for the previous period, the concerned taxpayer would have to clear them. Then VAT liability on goods, both capital and stock, outstanding at the effective date of deregistration, provided input tax on such goods had been claimed. VAT liability, in case they are demanding you. VAT, in case of VAT payable. Yeah. VAT payable whereby your output tax was greater than your input tax. Yeah, so before being officially deregistered, the taxpayer must fulfill the three. In case of unlodged tax returns, they're supposed to lodge them. Unpaid tax, they're supposed to pay. In case of VAT liability, they're also supposed to first pay it. Yeah, so that was all about deregistration. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends, and watch my next video. I'll be continuing with VAT.